And welcome back to our upper bracket playoff series, as it is Bliss up against Ground Zero in an opportunity for both teams to showcase who deserves that very first ticket over to Taiwan.
So we do see the Ezreal being dropped by Bliss Skimmy, and I think this is the right call. I think that if you are going to leave up Shown5's champions, you need this champion, right? It's the only AD carry who outranges mages, but that is still viable in the meta. So you really need to prioritize this Ezreal. It's going to be, most likely going towards that bot side. Does give them some strength and does give them some capabilities team fights to not have to dive and force full engage comps into the Brand, Karthus, Syra that will come out of Shown5.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to see. I thought they would go for this adaptation. The concern we raised was whether or not they mean it's going to be a Corki Tristana, but maybe too much in the kitchen if they went down that direction. They go for the Bron, they go for the Corki. So already some significant adaptations.
This is interesting. The Braum blind pick straight away is very strange to me because the champ is, you want to pick it into dive, you want to really deal with stuff, but there is like I remember the Mickey X Braum where you can go for that shield max first if you are playing into those ranged matchups, which are really bad, but a very good matchup into the Braum is that Rakan because you can go in, go out, blow that shield, and it's just you can't really deny the Rakan engage as a Braum, right? It's very hard to predict your ult to deny the flash engage coming out outdoors, so once again, they're going to get a very nice, comfortable duo on the bot side of the map, and the priority on Harry, so they're taking away that Tristan. They are going to be playing that mirror, the side of AD carries in that mid lane, and very excited to see how this does go on, but we finally get to see the Tien Camille after so long. He hasn't really picked this one for quite a while, so finally, in playoffs in that best of 5, he's like, all right, guys, I'm pulling this one back out. What can Bai do into it?
Yeah, it's been 8 games since he last played it, but he says, you know what, I've had my fun in the sun, trying a little bit of different champions. It's back to what works for us best. Mordekaiser, though, banned away. We saw it played by Bio into Antic during the regular season to fantastic success. Isolate out a key champion, remove them from the equation, win the team fight as a result. I'm questioning then what Bliss think is the response. Do we still look to try and ban out Shown5, or do we need to ban out some counters that help the Camille?
I think we're probably going to see the Karthus and the Brand both being removed here. They might decide to leave the Brand up just because they do have that range advantage, but just knowing Shern's comfort, they're probably going to be those two ones being removed. I think this is going to be the Jax ban from Ground Zero because it is, Bai's most comfortable one. Could be a different story from behind the scenes where they think that, Tien has won this matchup a lot in scrim, so they do not need to get rid of it. But Renekton being removed is another answer, so I feel like Bliss are kind of forced into picking the Jax and matching on the side lane because I doubt that Bai is just going to pick a tank and allow Tien to have priority on the side.
Yeah, it would seem a little bit too dicey to say the least, absolutely. So it makes a lot of sense, but it's interesting they've valued the Renekton over the Jax, given that we've seen him play the Jax to such fantastic success. Clearly valuing that, if we can beat you early, the Jax isn't really that much of an issue. But right on the money you up, it's going to be the Karthus as well as the Brand, but still he has a whole plethora of different champions that he can play in close proximity, right? If he wants to still make sure that the dive comp is deterred, I mean, you've got the Lilia, you've got the Zyra.
Yeah, and
Rob, the Zyra's taken.
I like when these 3 champs are banned against Skimmy, against Shern.
You could bet it against me if you want.
Because we get to see, these really, really weird picks that Shown5 has in his toolbox that we haven't really seen. So there is going to be something like the Fiddle, the Morgana, the Amumu, the Lilia that you did save, but I think we know that with the enemy team being so range heavy right now, he really does not want to play the Lilia into that. So is a good champ in the early game, and he can make use of his piling to be strong into that one, but if there is that point and click, you can absolutely just get blown up. So curious to what Shown5 is going to go for that 5P champion, and I'm excited to see what that does look like.
I was also curious in that same conversation whether or not he feels like, okay, I don't want to do anything too crazy, don't really feel the need to showcase anything, right? Like, could be the Amumu, could be the Nidalee. What would it be in that regard to try and give you that sort of range assistance, as well as a little bit of engage too? But whilst they deliberate, it is to be the Maokai as well as the Jax. I think the Jax was going to be that known quantity. The Maokai, though, is the curveball.
Ooh, is it the Amumu, Skimmy? Is it something else? Is going to be the Amumu.
Engage, yeah, there you go.
Is going to be the Amumu locked in, so they do have a lot of, Amumu can function as that solo AP champion because, it can go for the tank or, that pseudo AP tank build with the Leandries, but clears really fast, can be that engage, is a strong early game champ as well, and he can lock down these carries and blow them up, especially champs like Ezreal who are so mobile. If they do get tagged up by that bandage toss or that curse of the sad mummy, you can pair it up with the either one to really lock down these champs and allow Tien especially to take over the backline of Bliss.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, last time we saw him play the Amumu, it was into Bliss. He played it with the Leandries as well as the Blackfire Torch before he decided, you know what, maybe I will get a little bit tanky. Third item being picked up in that Randuin. So if that's to be the case again, this is going to be a very scary Amumu. Yes, it's a tank. Yes, it's an engage. But it's going to be packing a punch as well. So certainly fits the bill one more time. of this whole identity of champions in close proximity. You're crying on them. Out comes the curse of the sad mummy, and it's just so easy then for the amount of control they have. The Ashe, the Braum, the Camille, just to lock anybody down.
Yeah, and we are seeing a very similar damage spread from both comps, right? They do have those, pseudo AP tank junglers who can, soft function as these AP carries, but a lot more of a, mixed damage spread from the Bliss comp this time. Jax and Ezreal doing a lot of mixed damage, so not too worried about what the armor is going to be coming out of the Ground Zero side, because they do have just a lot of damage overall. But I think this is a lot more stable comp. They aren't forced to get ahead in the early game. They do have skill matchups, I'd say this time. The Jax and the Camille can go either way, the Tristan and the Corki can go either way, and that bot lane matchup, especially if this Braum is freed up and allowed to walk around the map, and they can, use the CC combo, either side, of either the Maokai and the Rakan or the Amumu and the Braum, they can get some action done in the mid lane.
Lots of action to be found on this one with the drafts that both teams have put together. It is game number 2 in this best of 5, with the stakes being whoever wins tonight guarantees that they not only go into the LCO final, but they also book their tickets to the PCS playoffs to represent the region abroad. Plenty then for the taking. Ground Zero obviously off to a flying start, crushing it in only 24 minutes. And I'm sure a lot of people are curious to see if they can continue this undefeated streak.
Yeah, I'm also very curious to see if they can, go for that undefeated split. They can get all the series wins, even with dropping some games. But, sometimes you do want to get the absolutely, no losses garnered throughout your entire year. But a lot of the Ground Zero members have mentioned that, they would like to drop games. They would like to be contested because they want to be pushed and forced to improve as much as possible before PCS. Because, that's always the big goal, is performing overseas in those PCS playoffs and, finally bringing OS back to the limelight, making sure that everyone remembers that Australia isn't that bad, guys. Give us a bit of a break. But I'm so excited to what this early game is going to look like, and with the potential lane swap happening here, Skimmy, that is exciting.
That could be very exciting, right? Make sure that this is one other way to try and shut down this Camille. Many have tried to shut down Tien on this particular champion and have failed.
Oh, a level 1 cheese?
This could be the difference. Yeah, it certainly could be, actually, with Aladoric and Violet hovering there with BioPanther. Tien says, what on earth is going here? Bio actually going to wrap around to make it seem as if, well, you know what?
Stealing.
I am going towards the bot lane.
Okay, so very interesting start by Bliss. By warding the camp isn't stealing away this one. We have seen this quite a few times where top players in lane swaps do play to steal away the camp, but Tien is walking there to make sure that, nothing too bad happens. But I think the most important thing is this fight for mid lane priority, right? They need to make sure that one of them is maintaining prio and isn't able to, rotate to the jungle and make sure that there is too many camps being sold away from either side. So this is what top laners really do. They sit around mid in these swaps and just, try to play that muscle for their mid laner while not stealing a lot of experience. But by staying in lane and taking some of Harry's experience, could swing these level timings and could swing the matchup.
Look at the absolute slate of top lane right now. They can't even play their lanes. They just literally hover around in mid and say, I'm not a jungler, I'm not a support, I'm just here to add another body on the map. Feels pretty bad in that regard. I'm also curious, you sort of talked about the abundance of damage that both these teams have, whether or not Kevy feels the need to go for the AP variant of the Maokai. Obviously got nerfed a hot minute ago, but we have been seeing a bit more Maokai. Has usually been the tank variation. BioPanther is going to be in that 1v2 now. Shern's going to get bullied off his own red buff with the assistance of both Kevy and Aladoric. They'll have full vision of this one if they want to have a bit of a smite battle, only 3 minutes in, but they're going to hold it just out of range for that crucial 900 damage. So they're going for the engage. Bandage starts to start things off, knock him up one time, force out his flash, keep the red bramble back there, jump in again with another bandage toss and say, well, where are you going? What was the point of that? An angry BMO is the response here from Tien.
Yeah, Shern will die for his camps no matter what. This entire time, Bio is getting experience on the bot side while Tien is forced of his turret and cannot. I think this was a huge mistake by Shern to not, recognize that he is going to be susceptible there, but this is just a really nice level 1 by Bliss. Kevy starts on the bot side of the map, clears up and recognizes that he's matching pathing with Shernfire, plays for that invade, and they do have, even though there is a level 2, a support versus a level 2 top laner, there is the ignite and Aladoric's back pocket, and that, finding the W, finding that grand entrance is just a really easy setup for the damage they have.
That certainly was. Lots of great kill pressure for them to flourish with, and a little bit of chaos, right? In a meta, in a patch where you're thinking, those lane swaps that are being pushed to the side, no longer that much of an issue. It's nice to see one, maybe not fully committed to, but at least get them some kind of advantage to make sure only 4 minutes in they're up by 1k.
Yeah, and this is such a big deal for the early game of Bliss. The fact that Bio is so far ahead. Tien doing a really good job to cancel the recall, but doing a really bad job to stay alive, Skivvy. So he is going to fall down there. That is a kill going in the pocket of Violet. BioPanther with a 2-level experience lead already on the side lane, pushing out this bot lane, is going to make him so much comfort. He's going to basing it such a good buy. The fact that Kevy is, doing really well to find first blood. This is an extremely different early game for Bliss and a really good early start for this team.
Really, really good. And look how much of a difference it actually makes in terms of Harry too, right? He's able to actually play his lane out without the constant threat of people roaming and sort of taking him down. And Tien, having only just died, TP's back to lane, already back to 50%. And now it's a case of Ground Zero. What is our next move? What is our response? As Lemus looks to lock down Biopanther, he sidesteps Bandage Toss number 1, waiting for Bandage Toss number 2 to come out, so leaps into the wave, says, well, where are you going to go? Lemus says, well, I can just lock you down. You've got nowhere to run or hide on this occasion. And in the end, Bio will crucially fall. But I think the damage has already been done, right? That 2-level lead into Tien's Camille is monumental.
Yeah, and they're just going to base and match lanes now. They're going to, avoid the part of the early game where Ashe is so strong in lane and can really bully out. But actually, no, we see them going back towards the same lanes. They, the grub spawning at 6 minutes is their next priority, right? They really want to make sure that this jungler, where we do see Kevy going for that, Leandry's first, is going to get a head skimmy.
That's certainly the case. There's a bit of aggression once again found onto Fighter with 5 members planted in the mid lane. But here's an opinion, which unfortunately Race is already incorrect with Ground Zero taking game number 1. But he believed that Bliss should just simply 3-0. Is all about, though, if they do draft poorly and struggle to react to some of the gameplay that Ground Zero showcased. And I think that was really the talking point of Game 1, right? Punished with a draft that couldn't fall behind.
I can't believe production just did Raze dirty like that, showing the 3-0 position in the second game of the season. So, it is proven wrong already, but I do agree with his sentiment. I think that both these teams are quite equal when it comes to the skill department. It's going to come down to drafts and preparation, and we saw in Game 1, Ground Zero definitely had the early game and the draft advantage, but this time Bliss, it would say the drafts are pretty easy, just came out with a much better game plan level 1 and caught Ground Zero off guard completely.
Completely caught them off guard, and the biggest winners are, Violet and Biopanther to get to excel in their own individual matchups. That obviously then frees up the ability for Kevy to not feel anywhere near as put behind, because he was tracked from the very get-go in Game 1. This time with a kill to his name, with the pressure of the lanes working in his favor, he's able to get all 3 grubs for the boys.
And something also to note is the fact that Correct did go for that blind pick Braum, is not that engaged support with Leona not being removed, and he cannot really impact this mid lane, especially, we see him hovering on mid, but Braum is not a good ganker. He's a good counter ganker, and he's a good skirmisher and a good team fighter, but he does not have pressure onto champions. He needs someone else to do that for him, and that is Schoenfire. But the fact that Schoenfire does not have any downtime right now, because he's constantly trying to find camps everywhere he goes, and is being denied his jungle and those major objectives, they can't really link up with Kurak right now. And with this being an even game state right now, with the junglers both hitting level 6 here, and a camp lead going to Kevy, still another early game win for Bliss right now.
It certainly is. Let's see what it means then if the Dragon gets looked at by either side, if it's a case of you won't do it and certainly we won't either. We just want to continue to be ahead in the XP department. And, whilst Tien's been able to try and wrangle it back just a fraction, it is still a case of having to contend with this Jax. Aladora's going to have a crack at that one with the Grand Entrance jumping on in. Kurek looking to try and respond back and tag them up with that concussive blows very successfully, I might add. Aladora gets completely punished. And the CC from Freljord, a little bit too much to muster. Inside the river, Kevy continuing to do that Dragon. In the end, does get taken down by Schoenfire. And between the explosive shot stacked up and a true shot barrage, it's not enough to force Ground Zero to back away.
Yeah, a huge disconnect from the Bliss members. Kevy pulls the Dragon before there is that bot lane priority gathered, so he's just found out in the river by Schoenfire. Easy pickup for him because the Ocean Dragon does hurt and it slows you down, and that is going to be a lot of damage this move is able to do at this point in the game, especially with the Conqueror. But a 2v2 mistake for the Bliss bot lane. Aladora caught out with the concussive blow stacks, headed up with the arrow. Violet unable to block that one with the cleanse, right, and really allow him to get out of there. And that's just the skirmishing power of these 2 champs in the bot lane. Whereas they're not good gankers, they are really good at fighting, especially in the early game.
Yeah, 2 fights, and one I'm sure in which Kevy was really banking on his bot lane winning, right, for them to assist and then back him up on that Drake fighter. Early Valkyrie, really nicely timed. Did have the flash in case of emergency, but wasn't necessary to dodge out on that counter-strike. Otherwise, that would have been a nice little kill found. And, make sure that the Tristana gets further ahead. But not to be. Is sitting on that Carl at the stage. 57 stacks to remain, so wants to try and just farm up an absolute storm and build that big lead like we've seen him do before. But, look, I'm very curious to see just how active Bio wants to be, whether or not he wants to continue to engage in these 1v1s to Tien, or if he's going to roam the map and force yet another lane swap.
Yeah, just another lane swap happening, and the fact that it was spotted on that that Raptor ramp ward, but they do know Bai is bot lane, they are pinging in the bush right now. There is no objective on the top side of the map yet for another minute, and a jump out of Harry here, if he does find that ult pit, could be lethal, but he's going to respect the fact that there is, you know, that fog of war on the top side of the map, and if he does commit to that all-in, could be himself going down, Skimmy.
Yeah, lots of pings on the minimap. People definitely playing cautiously, knowing that members are MIA, and that's exactly what TN's looking for. So instant snap response on that hookshot flash in. Oh, the arrow would have been perfectly timed as well. And that is really all it takes. Phosphorus Bomb, bust a shot, knock him back, tick him down low. It shouldn't be lethal, but it should certainly be enough to warrant both mid laners to go back to base.
I think Harry just missed a potential solo kill there, Skimmy. You know, if he did get that last auto before he bust shot him away, that would have been the kill going towards him there. And the fact that when that Phosphorus Bomb did land, he did not have lethal, there was no follow-up damage there. There was no final threat. So, you know, maybe Harry felt a bit pressured from the fact he does not have vision on the other sides of the mid lane right now, and he could be getting ganked from, you know, his Raptor Wall and stuff like that. Just wants to get out of there, just wants to reset and get back into lane, because, you know, if we do pay attention to the game state right now, while there is a gold lead for Bliss still, it is a pretty even Steven game state. At pretty much every single lane is even in terms of combat power right now, and these teamfights are really going to come down to execution.
Certainly are going to come down to execution. It feels like this entire series is going to be all about the execution. Certainly whilst the draft has a big hand in making it easier, it's nice to see how these teams are adapting, and there is that one bit of adaptation I asked from the very get-go in this game, right? What build will we see from Kevy's Maokai is to be that of the double Leandry junglers. So plenty of scouting and burning to take them down. Nature's Grass to open things up. 3 members rooted in place. There is the quickness and there is the charm. Curette gone. Find a second one and try and deny even more of these grubs. Ground Zero will find 2. Schönfire forced to flash to safety. Blast Cone just as an insurance policy if anybody flashed over to follow. And these 2 solo laners in the top lane, just hanging out.
Australian top lane, Skimmy, with a little bit of a
upside down
here. But you know, 4 grubs going to Bliss and 2 over to Ground Zero. So Ground Zero able to deny those 5 grubs, and this is what probably the lane state we're going to see for quite a while going on now. It's just because, you know, Fido really good at clearing out the wave in a 2v1, especially against the, you know, Aladoric without the Grand Entrance. There are 3 members of Ground Zero up here right now, so if they do want to go onto Kevy, he's in quite a lot of trouble.
Oh, he should be really clever with that one. Once again, that arrow is so scary. Seeing where that comes, it always skims them. But he just manages to dodge. And that could have been a really rough way to get out of that situation. Cop the tower shots or flash away to safety. Jukes and jives his way in the end. It's actually going to be Lemus, of all people, that holds it down the mid.
Yeah, Lemus is extremely aggressive right here. Ash is not, you know, known for being a really strong champ into Tristana especially, but doing a good job to, you know, staunch him off the way, push him away, make sure he is getting that priority still. So good confidence coming out of him. And, you know, Harry doesn't really have a lot in his inventory. He does have the, you know, the unfortunate Hearthbound Axe, which is, you know, coined the second worst item in League right now, after the, you know, the bow, the one that no one...
Oh, the slingshot?
Yeah, the slingshot no one really wants to build. So while Kraken is a nice item, this is a really bad component to sit on. It just does not offer a lot for the amount of gold you spend on it.
Yeah, it feels bad when you have to sit on those crucial items. And it's just like, well, this doesn't really offer me too much, but it's all I can afford. No doubt, really, really hoping he gets a bit of, you know, lane proximity to say 24 stacks left on the coal. Let me cash that in. Let me get that first item spike. Hit the Kraken, and then we can really start to fight back, no matter who it would be, be it the Corki or one of those tanks. But the lane swaps continue. It's been a very non-standard game, pretty unconventional. But as it goes on and on and on, Ground Zero are finding better ways to respond back.
Yeah, and I wouldn't really say there's a clear scaling advantage to either side as well. I think that I'm not too familiar with how well Amumu does scale into the game. I think that if you can avoid... I think when it comes to Maokai in the late game, the point and click is so important, and it is so hard to outplay, especially when you don't have cleanse on some champions who can get locked down and blown up, whereas you look at Amumu, he's reliant on, you know, hitting those Qs. He can go for that flash ult, but sometimes it's very easy to avoid, especially on champs like Tristana and Ezreal, who are mobile and they can jump out of that one. So I think it's really going to come down to execution, and I'm happy, seeming that we are having this, you know, even game state going into the mid game where the laning phase is ending, and we are going to come down to those objective fights, which really are going to come down to the skill prowess of these players and not so much about a wallet gap.
Let's see then, just how much skill can be displayed, because the gold difference continues to be as close as you would hope for it to be. 14 minutes in, plate's about to fall on down. Herald to be summoned to match that of the Dragon being up and active in a case of splitting attention. Which objective becomes the priority? Well, Trinity Falls has just been picked up then by Violet to match that of Lemus on the Kraken Slayer, so the AD carries are certainly feeling pretty inspired about their damage potential, but the 2 mid laners fighting up here in the north, they're going to have a little bit of a crack at it and say, look, Grubs, rather the Herald, should be our priority.
Yeah, absolutely, and both teams prioritize the Heralds. You know, we talk about how the arrow going out, that was going to be wasted, so a bit of pressure relieved from Bliss. But back to the objectives. Ground Zero don't prioritize dragons, but at the same time, they do love these heralds, right? We do see them take the Raquels, but also Bliss. So both teams are quite even when it comes to how much they prioritize this objective. So I expect to see a lot of action happening around this one, especially if Schoenfire walks in and starts his objective already before his team is really with it.
Agent Kevy hiding in the shadows, waiting to see if anybody would dare staunch him out of that bush, and that they certainly will. Find a control board in there and basically say, if you're not going to fight us, you're not getting this herald. So an easy acquisition there by Ground Zero. Going to be into the back pocket there of the Amumu as Bio finds himself in a nice little 1v1. Counter-Strike goes up, pops the ultimate for some nice resistances, but yeah, with that Triforce difference, as you mentioned, has so much damage, waiting for the hook shot underneath the tower, and that is all she wrote.
Yeah, that was just Bio jumping onto UC's initial Q to jump onto the wave under the tower to get a plate proc, but Tien coming out of base with that Triforce in his inventory catches him off guard, and that's just the cooldown advantage in the side lane, and that is going to swing this matchup completely. We do not see the Triforce being completed by Bio at all. Did decide to go for those boots because he was running around the map and he wanted a bit of extra move speed, so this is going to swing that Camille Jax matchup on their side, and that could swing the game dynamic altogether.
And it must feel absolutely phenomenal for Tien, knowing how poorly those first 5-10 minutes went, right? Down 2 levels, down so much gold, down so much pressure, to come back with the first item spike and then get the kill on top of that. Yeah, night and day. Yeah, definitely
would feel very good. Getting a solo kill in such an important game, in such a hard, tough matchup or a skill matchup is always really nice, especially as a top laner. But, we are seeing the priority of both mid laners getting as much free time on the side lanes as we can, and we do see the Triforce being completed by Bio now, so 4 Triforces in the game already. Unfortunately, not giving me that Triforce, is that Quad Force this game, Skimmy, so it is an unlucky number to have on the champion, but an engage already.
Big engage, flash, twisted advance right into Kurek, who jumps away to safety. Out goes the Ash Arrow, 2 kills so far on Lemus, so he wants to make sure that he can do a fair bit of damage in this one, but Double Sun is burnt by him to disengage away. Explosive shot is huge, but Schoenfire's Curse of the Sad Mummy is massive! It stuns everybody, but he can't find any kills. He will die, but Lemus is space gliding through the river into the mid lane. Fido playing cleanup with the Rocket Phosphorus. Brom nets himself a double kill, but it's all about the engage from Shern.
What did we see again, Simi? We just saw a hard force onto Kurak again, and he's playing Braum this time. He's not playing Leona or Nautilus, who are naturally tanky. He's playing Braum. Extremely hard chance to kill. Throws up the door, jumps back to his teammate, has the flash, buys so much time for his team. So once again, we see teams engaging on Kurak. What is it about this player that makes everyone want to kill him?
I don't understand. I really don't understand. There's something about it. He takes no damage. He causes everybody to say, yeah, look, bud, you're the rookie. We need to kind of humble you. And he just laughs. He just does not die, refuses to.
Yeah, and this is just the collapse coming out of this team. Correct, once again, buying so much time. The flash engage coming, or just the engage coming out of Aldor. Lima's respecting that with his cleanse flash himself, but Schoenfire, what a turn from him. Does fall down, but creates so much disruption for the team, so much damage, which allows Fido to go forward, which allows Lima to just fire arrows into this team, and Fido finds that cleanup with that flash at the end.
It really is the epitome of a marksman there, just sitting from afar, raining arrows and locking him down. Really is a nice affair to showcase just how strong he was at that point of the game. And now the double 80 carry threat is 4-0, which is certainly a nice position to find yourself in. Biopemper locked in place by all that CC. It just lasts far too long. And Bio thought it was enough to try and contend with Tien. Now adds Shern to the mix.
And there, Lemus finally hits that cross-map arrow onto a crucial member in Bio. But once again, Kurak on the side. He's immortal, Skinny.
He is immortal. Nobody can take him down. I mean, I'm almost sick of saying it at this point, right? It's almost like a known quantity. That needs to be a nickname or something. So we'll find something, I'm sure, by the end of this best of 5, perhaps by the end of the split, to summarize what Kurek's done this season, really.
It's the Benby effect. He perfected the Benby playstyle of overextending, and he just locked it. Instead of playing Heimer, instead of playing these squishy champions who die, he's playing tanks. And no one can kill these champions.
It's true. Benvie was actually really good at causing people to try and go for him. The question is, well, the problem with that, right, is he did play the Heimer, and sometimes he would happen to go 0-8. But, beside the point, you play a tank, and it's a whole another situation, right? 19 minutes into this game, and whilst Bliss had a phenomenal start to this one, they've lost all that gold lead, and it's actually swung 2K in Ground Zero's favor.
Yeah, and this is the strength of Ground Zero. We just talk about how good they are at playing the mid game. Their macro is just on another level when it comes to this league, and their priority on getting gold and experience is so nice to see. We do see Schoenfire starting to get ahead a little bit in the jungle department, is going for a full AP Amumu build this time, so not going to be that pseudo tank, is going to go in and either 1-for-1 or just die. So this is exciting to see this Amumu build. It's a different look from the champion, and Tien on his heavily favored champion, the one who's had the most success on this split, already doing so well at this point in the game, and it's just going to get worse for Jax with this armed, disadvantage.
Absolutely. 0-4 now for BioPanther. Really feels bad. So he's going to sting the ego a fair bit there, knowing that once that Revenant's Hydra goes online, really, I have no chance whatsoever at contending this one. I will need a little bit of assistance, and I will need my team to try and rally and find fights like this. Starts off with Aladoric, assisted by Kevy, and a shutdown, most importantly, is picked up by Violet.
Lima's trying to be Kurak, but you're just not him. You're not him. You can't walk up. You can't disrespect like that. Doesn't have the flash. He does fall down, but also something to note. Did BioPanther sell his boots? Give me, he did have the cooldown boots, right?
Oh, I need to check the VOD. I need to check the VOD. We'll do it live. I'll look it up.
I'm pretty sure he did sell his boots, so he's replaced them with the Merc Treads. You know, he thinks the CC coming out of the Amumu is too much to deal with, but that's just so much gold being removed from his pockets. But the Baron being started at 20 minutes. Schoenfire walking here, does not have the flash. How much damage is this Baron taking? Will they be able to make it?
I have no vision, but I have an idea, given that they had the Scuttler just moments prior. That is about to expire. That one does fall on down. TB's coming on through. Is it too little, too late? Aladora across the wall, hits the charm. A two-man route with the Maokai ultimate is fantastic, and they've snuck it away. That is crazy.
What a mistake for, the side of ground zero, but especially Limas. The fact he done that mid-wave there was disrespecting in that, outnumbered situation, and all members of Bliss, 5-man Baron, 5-man reset, they're back in the game, Simi. This was a 2,000 gold lead for ground zero, and all of a sudden, they have this Baron, they have some time to get more items on their team, and when they start to get some, items to really deal with or match up to the DPS coming out of the ground zero side, it's going to be a swing completely.
That's the stabilizer. It certainly is the Baron effect. What can it do to actually get them back into this one, right? How much gold can we look to try and find through some siege and success in that regard? Or is it really a case of, we want to deny it from you. You're getting a little bit too strong, and we can't afford that to happen. And as you mentioned, I've checked it. Yeah, it was those CDR boots sold out for the Merc Trade, so it's going to put Bio even further behind, and it makes it even more dicey as, yet again, another arrow goes out, and stun for what feels like 2.5 seconds means that anybody can pounce upon you, and Fido's there to claim.
Yeah, this is just this is one of the classic, deploy the 3 lanes, catch all the waves. You have to be very careful because you are susceptible to getting engaged on, especially when you are down tempo from a team who is already on the map, already has vision control, and can, thanks to that mid priority, they have fine picks on the side lane. So Limas, once again, locks the Ashen, finds the arrows twice now onto these side laners, and is just securing some kills for his team. But was the reason why they were in the state to begin with, Skimming?
They certainly were. Blackfire Torch now picked up, so the same build from Shern mirrored one more time. So much damage. Incredibly squishy, but doesn't really matter if you can continue to hit these multi-man ultimates time and time again and say, well, the rest of my team is strong enough. All I need to do is get the party started. And that's certainly what they've done in this game, right? They have just been so excited to say, no, you never need to panic. We're always in control. Let's see, though, what Fido can do to try and get himself out of this precarious situation, because he's going to be surrounded by 2, soon to be 3 with that TP coming in there by Harry, who no doubt wants to pick up the kill for himself. There is the charm. There's Bio getting amongst it as well. But there is that all-important shutdown into Harry's pockets.
Yeah, seeing a bit of disrespect on the side lane, just an overextension. Fighter doesn't have his team in his pocket that time. No TP on Tien to be able to back him up there. Really nice for Alador to recognize he can walk down with that TP launch, but the arrow onto Kevy dodged out, so he's going to be very happy that the one is on cooldown, and this is the Dragon coming up in 15 seconds. And there's no fighter and there's no engaged tool to really deal with the backline of Bliss right now.
See then what they decide to do. Dragon apiece, it really is as split as it could be in terms of an objective that neither side tends to prioritize. Oh, no. Let's see what it means for Kurak again. He says, can you catch me, guys? I'm going to continue to taunt you all series long.
Yeah, okay, so they are looking onto Limas this time. They have recognized, Kurak's immortal, let's ignore him. Let's focus onto Limas. But Limas has the flashing cleanse this time, and they did not use that timer to get the dragon where Fido was dead, so I believe they can't contest this one. They want to just go topside, trade this one off. This is only the second dragon, right? So not really a big win condition, and the Soul in particular isn't too strong for either team. So just a nice thing to have, but something you shouldn't put yourself at risk for, especially when you are working towards, those bigger item power spikes still.
Yeah, it's not the hill they want to try and die on at this stage, right? They know the fact that both Harry and Violet are incredibly strong, and they match the power of their respective opponents, but elsewhere they are sorely lagging behind. They need a bit of catch-up, and it's catch-up I don't think Ground Zero are going to let them find. It's going to come down to a lot of these solo lanes getting picked apart, but Kevy, behind in the enemy jungle, looks to try and isolate out some crucial members. Kurak is there, so it means obviously Ground Zero do win. That's just how it's always been. The Ash Arrow will certainly confirm that, as he just evades that Winter's Bite, but a cheeky Ignite will get it started.
And we see Ground Zero do this so many times. They play the numbers advantage on the side, and they still take these fights, but Tien's gimme. Locking down Aladoric.
Tien is definitely making sure that Aladoric can't get, cute and clever with this quickness. That ultimate is just going to be traded 1-for-1, nothing to come of it. And they will say, just look at the map right now. We have so much vision control, And for Bliss, it's a case of we need to make sure that we aren't getting flanked in our own side of the jungle.
Yeah, and the own side of the jungle doesn't really exist to ground zero, right? They constantly fight for both sides of the jungle. They have the numbers advantage on the bot side, but Kurak and Fido by themselves fight that outnumbered advantage of the 3v2 there on the top side, and they just they're playing for the rotation of the rest of the ground zero members, and Kevy doesn't feel too comfortable committing all together. And I think this hesitation that Bliss keeps showing on their strong side of the jungle is the reason they keep getting caught off guard. The fact that they are getting forced out at a numbers advantage is really surprising, and I think that they need to recognize this one. This is something you need to see in the review as a team and make sure that doesn't really happen in these future games.
And it almost seems like more and more of what Shern mentioned in his interview is coming to fruition, right? The fact that, we're quite happy sticking to our own style. It's a case of Bliss and other teams having to try and figure out ways to beat us, which we're seeing demonstrated again, right? The case of you banning away all these pocket champions, you're switching the sides around, but still Ground Zero looks so comfortable.
Yeah, they just look so comfortable. Even though, we would say Ground Zero have been on the back foot from the early game, they just look too comfortable, right? They keep playing the same way. They haven't really changed anything. Shernfire is always rocking up these objectives, and he is trying to take them away. They are being punished this time because Bliss, thanks to that really early, nice early swap they did, was able to catch him off guard, and they were able to put him a little bit behind. But still, Shern is strong. He still has that camp lead. He still has the items he needs. He has bought that potion in his inventory, so they are looking for a fight, Skimmy.
They're all in, believing this is the fight of all fights. It should set the tone for the rest of this game. Certainly propel them into a late game where they are heavily favoured to take out the victory. Let's see then. The first Baron stolen away in classic T1 fashion. Can the second one be done in such a convincing manner? Will Ground Zero have something to say about that? They started off perfectly. They claim that mid lane control. They rotate into the river where Maokai was primed and ready to go. Oh, in with the flash engage. Aladoric soaks it up with that enchanted crystal arrow. It's going to be a one-man ultimate coming out of Shernfire as Harry tries to rocket jump to safety, but Shernfire denies that possibility. Fido plays cleanup crew on the initial Bliss dive engage, and they take two, and they lose nothing.
Easy as that, it's pretty much all on Violet now, Skimmy. Shernfire does a really good job to find out Harry there, but, this is still going to be a dance that if they do not take out Violet, he can still pressure on this Baron, right? And the only member who can really get onto him is Tien, but so much damage from that, precision protocol, that might just force them off and give them that confidence to go take that Baron comfortably.
Seems to be they're going to have to sacrifice this objective, unfortunately for them. Stood apart, different ideas, tried to force a fight, and just completely deterred about it. The turnaround potential of the Ashe, the Yamumu, as well as that Braum, too much to bear. The three-man party look to say, what can we do? Jax jumps in, hits the one-man counter-strike, gets a crucial shutdown, denying Tien for what feels like an eternity. He needed that so much. Violet tries to do what he can. They trade, both Eddie carries dying like Romeo and Juliet for 50 damn seconds.
Harry has to do it.
But in comes Harry with the TP. He's respawned, he's rejuvenated, he's got a triple item spike, so he'll find a triple kill seemingly. He sat around, and then finally the rocket jump nets in the ace.
The Goomba stomps here to finish that one off. Triple kill picked up for Harry. All Barons denied onto the side of Ground Zero, but we finally saw it, right? They committed. They didn't hesitate. I think that Ground Zero feel so confident in these fights, and they're really overstepping their bounds here. And the fact that Tien went in without that ult to dodge out on the counter-strike that comes out of buy here means he's locked down, and there's going to be the easy pickup. Finally, we see Kevy flash in, set up his bot lane. Unfortunately, that True Shot Barrage goes wide, which means probably Violet lives here, and this fight would have been even more one-sided, but there's an overall nice skirmish from here, and the fact that Harry recognizes he has to go, and this is do or die. This is their one window to find the advantage back in this game, and he commits on it. It's good to see.
Incredibly defining moment in this series, you would have to say, right? The fact that the Baron gets picked up, you think that Ground Zero have done enough from that initial play, but based on the respawn time, it's still being so early into this game, it affords Harry a second lease on life, gets the TPM, gets to play cleanup crew, and gets to make sure that he continues to be the focus of this team comp.
Yeah, with the gold still being, it was just 28 minutes in here. I wonder where the major power spike difference is, because I think if I look at the inventory right now, Lemus is strong, right? His DPS is so consistent. It is, very easy to deal with, whereas, on the other side, Violet is strong, and it is in the pocket of Harry right now, but it has base. Violet just goes down the midway, Skivvy.
Oh, well, yeah, you say one good thing, and the player falls on down, unfortunately. Extra gold momentum, countered there by the Nature's Grasp. Not to be enough, though, unfortunately. They find a little bit of salvation underneath their mid-tier 2. Alador tries to buy some time by jumping in with a two-man charm. Not to be enough. Members falling on down low. Members dying.
What just happened?
Unfortunately, map control just gifted to Ground Zero.
This might just be a close to game, Skimmy. They still have, Shernfire with his ult if he does rotate over this one, but I think they might try to end this one here. Even though they do not have the cooldowns, there's no real threat to clear this wave. It's only Harry. There's no engage out of Aladori. And it's so easy for them to hit these towers. There's still 10 seconds on, Violet and Kevy coming up after him.
That certainly is. They look to try and jump straight into Harry's head. They lock him in place for such a long time. Too much CC to get through there, Tally. It's just too oppressive, too frustrating, and too damn annoying. We're not even 90 minutes into this series, and Ground Zero are already on match point.
What a performance out of this team. You know, they got caught off guard in the early game, but this is just the reps, right? They've played this style so many times, they know how to get back in the game, and I think that Lemus and Kurek in particular, the fact they never die to these engages is doing so much work for Ground Zero.
They are afforded so much luxury in the ability to play out their lanes and play with so much confidence, knowing that really, Bliss, you're on the back foot, you're the ones that are now becoming more and more of the underdog and are struggling to find a response into our playstyle. 2-0 so far for Ground Zero. This could be a very quick ticket to board over to Taiwan.